In this segment, Skip and Shannon are going to be talking about Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham Jr., you know, he wants a new contract, but Odell Beckham Jr. cannot keep his name out of the headlines from the front of the New York Times or the New York Post or whatever. He cannot just keep himself out of trouble. And this guy said he wants to be the highest paid player in the NFL. Like I always said, I would never pay a wide receiver as a dependent. He's a dependent player, meaning that he has to depend on the quarterback getting him the ball. He doesn't touch the ball every time in the game like a running back or a quarterback. He's not a pass rusher or nothing like that. So I cannot give a wide receiver and make him the highest paid. It's reported that he wants $50 million guaranteed. No way in the world would I ever build my team around a wide receiver, a dependent position. Yes, the wide receiver is very important. Yes, Odell Beckham is a very good talent, but he has some off the field issues and on the field issues with Josh Norman. That whole thing with Josh Norman, where he cannot keep his head, he's easily rattled. He got some emotional problems. You know, his sideline antics when things don't go his way, he tearing up goalposts and things like that. I just cannot put my franchise in the hands of a guy that's not, you know, he doesn't show decorum or stability mentally. Like mentally, if I'm gonna put that type of money, even if he was a great wide receiver, I'm not gonna do it. But with all his problems, no, I'm not gonna do it. Jerry Rice to me was the greatest receiver ever played a game. I would not have paid him $50 million guaranteed, but he would have got paid a whole heck of a lot more money than Odell Beckham, because with Jerry Rice, I did not have to worry about his mental stability. I did not have to worry about him off the field. I didn't have to worry about him, you know, getting his body and getting his mind together, working on an off season, trying to be better the next year. You know, Odell Beckham, for all his talent and all that, he has, to me, has not lifted that Giants team to anything. Yes, they went to the playoffs, but they lost to Green Bay, and he had a terrible game.
Will not set foot on a field for the Giants or any other team without a new contract. Odell's in the last year of his rookie deal, and he played just 4 games last year after breaking his ankle. He's also had a bunch of off-the-field issues, the latest being the video of Odell in a bed with a woman in Paris with what appears to be drugs present. Giants owner John Mara was asked about Odell at the owners' meeting yesterday. Let's take a listen.
I think too often he allows himself to get put.
And let me say this. Why would you allow someone to videotape you doing something that you're not supposed to be doing as far as drugs? I don't understand. See, that's what I'm saying about Odell. Odell does not make good decisions. And I know Chris Carter has been trying to mentor him. Chris Carter had his own issues when he was with the Eagles. Then the Eagles, Buddy Ryan, shipped him off to the Minnesota Vikings, and it turned his life around. He thanks Buddy Ryan for doing that. But, you know, Chris Carter can only do so much for Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham has to change, and he has to want to change on his own. You cannot, you know, force a person to change. He has to be willing to change from the inside, and it seems like Odell Beckham Jr. still has not grown up yet. And you cannot keep calling him a kid when he's 24, 25 years old. No, he knows from right from wrong. The decisions that he's making right now are not good decisions as far as his football career is going. And if he say he want to sit out and not touch the field, then so be it. You know, if I was the Giants, I would call his bluff.
In bad situations, and he needs to use a little better judgment. I said before that I'm tired of answering questions about Odell's behavior and, you know, what the latest incident is, and I think he knows what we expect of him, and now it's up to him.
Do you see nobody's untouchable? Do you foresee him not being on the team this year?
And Odell Beckham, and this is the owner right here, John Mara, and Odell Beckham has to understand, even if you know, with this absurd thing about $50 million up front guaranteed that you asking for, but you handle yourself, you know, in not a professional way with the decisions that you're making. This is the owner talking about. He's tired of asking questions about your bad decisions. And you think this guy wants to sign a check of $50 million? Come on, Odell. Odell, look, I don't want to talk bad about the millennials. You know, I'm not saying that they don't do anything that any other generation didn't do, but it's a sense of entitlement that a lot of them have, and it's spilling off into sports. He has a sense of entitlement because he feels that he's a great talent. And yeah, the Giants do have something to do with this. They let this go on for too long. They should have nipped this in the bud a long time ago.
I can't answer that one way or the other. I mean, we're certainly not shopping them, if that's what you're asking. But again, when you're coming off a season where you're 3-13 and played as poorly as we played, then I wouldn't say that anybody's untouchable.
Shannon, what should the Giants do with Odell?
I'm gonna call Odell's bluff. You know, Skip, there's a saying that says when people say, "I'm trying to find myself," self is not something you find. Self is something that you create. John Mara said Odell keeps finding himself in these situations. Odell is not finding himself.
Yeah, Odell, how long is it going to take you to find yourself? How many times you going to keep making? I mean, look, we all make bad decisions, so I'm not trying to beat up on Odell Beckham. But how many times are you going to find yourself and now you're asking for all this money, but you cannot keep yourself mentally stable or, make better decisions or show the Giants? No one is going to invest. You got to understand, you are an investment to the Giants. The Giants is not going to invest in a guy who they can't depend on. They can, yes, they can depend on you on the field. You do some great things on the field, but even then, you have some dust ups on the field to where you're not even dependable on the field.
In these situations, Odell is creating these situations because here it is hard for me to believe, and if I'm the Giants, I'm looking at it from John Mara's and the Giants' perspective. Here's a guy that his behavior on the field has been less than exemplary. There have been some things that happened off the field. If this video is true, he's doing all of this, Skip, and he's scheduled to make a little less.
Now, if Odell Beckham was not a problem player or he didn't have a history of all this stuff, that video right there wouldn't have hurt him as bad. But you create the resume by your decisions. Your resume will be created by your decisions. And he has a bad resume. People cannot give you the benefit of the doubt if you keep continually going down the same path time and time again. You continuously make bad decisions, so you putting all this bad, info on your resume. People looking at your resume and they saying, well, I can't give you the benefit of the doubt. But if your resume was not, has so many blemishes on it, people can give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm pretty sure the Giants would, but you have so many things that you showed them prior to asking for this big contract. Now, look, I wouldn't give it to you, but I think they're hesitant to even give it to you.
$8 million. Yeah. If I cut Odell a check for $50 million, then what? If I can't control you, if I can't get you to behave, as my grandma used to say, G and ha, that's what he tell them, you giddy up, G, ha, get him to go or stop. If I can't get you to do what I want you to do, Skip, when you're making $3, $5, $8 million, if I give you $50 million, my dollars at the signing, a contract for $70+ million guaranteed, how in the hell are they going to get Odell Beckham to do what they want him to do? Odell Beckham, look, I understand you want your money, but you have to see, and as players sometimes
and if the Giants get him that money, he knows he has his guaranteed money now. You don't know where his mental state is going to go after that. Once he gets his money, you don't know how, if you can't control him now, how are you going to control him if you give him all that money? See, that's what the Giants are, that's what they're looking at. I'm pretty sure they're brainstorming all this and weighing the pros and cons.
All we look at it is from our point of view. But you understand, look at what they're looking at. How do they trust you? I fault the Giants for this. They could have nipped this in the bud long time ago when he was a rookie. Odell. Yep,
I said the same thing. It's like a child when you raise a child. If you let a child continuously do bad things as they growing up, you can't expect that when they're 15, 16 years old for you to nip it in the bud. No, it's too late. You have to build a foundation for them to be able to fall back on. Everybody gonna make mistakes. Kids gonna act up. But they have to have some level of discipline in their history to understand that stuff is not acceptable. So when you come to them and say it's not acceptable, they look at themselves and they reevaluate themselves, and they usually get back in line. But if you have a child where you've never done that before, never disciplined them, and you try to discipline them, there's nothing for them to fall back on, no history for them to fall back on. So yes, Odell Beckham, he came on the scene. You remember that one hand catch he had. And I believe they even lost that game. But, you know, SportsCenter ran that thing over and over and over again. Yes, it was a great catch, but come on, man. Like, really? You know, now you have kids trying to catch the ball with one hand and not using proper technique. I playing football with my son and his friend. His friend's on the football team. All he want to do is catch the ball with one hand. I tell him, son, listen, you need to catch the ball with two hands. If possible, catch the ball with two hands. One hand, because you're trying to be like Odell Beckham, you know, that's just, you know, that's a fantasy world. You're not gonna be hold on to the ball. Somebody gonna hit you and the ball's gonna come out that one hand. So catch the ball with two hands. But I'm not saying that's Odell Beckham's fault. I'm just saying that's SportsCenter fault, ESPN, for running that thing over and over and over again.
Just didn't get like this. This has been his behavior all the while. Tom Coughlin, when he got into that altercation with Josh Norman, when he really lost his cool, they asked Tom Coughlin about it. Tom Coughlin says, I'm trying to win a game. In other words, what Tom, the NFL, what about these behavior? What about this? Odell is not finding himself in situations. Odell is creating these situations. And if I'm the Giants, I'm going to call his bluff.
And that's another thing. That's what bad decision making. You create your own situations. Some situations do come up to where you can't help it and you have to deal with it accordingly. But most of the times, we as human beings, we create the own atmosphere, and instead of making better decisions, you create problems for yourself, unwarranted problems, and that's what Odell Beckham has a history of, creating these bad situations where he put himself in these bad. It's like the girl with, how can you let somebody videotape you? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Because I don't know. Hey, here's a guy that's gotten the most. He's received the most money from from the Nike Corporation for the shoe deal. And any player, and think about all the players that walk more than Jerry, Joe Montana, or Elway, or Brady, or Manning, more than any of those guys. So there's really no drawback for him to ever act any other way because he's been rewarded. National television, national commercial, Head and Shoulders. So he beats head. So there's no reason. There's really no real reason for Odell to do anything up.
But like I said, man, I look for the Giants to probably end up trading Odell. Odell said he won't step on the field unless he gets his money. I don't see the Giants giving him that much money. If they do, I don't want them to cry later, like a year later, and say, well, we shouldn't have given him the money. No, but you gave it to him. They should try to move him, try to get some picks out the draft with him, or try to trade him for other players. There's some other team out there that will pay Odell Beckham. Call the Browns, call these guys. They got a lot of draft picks and see if you can flip them. But I believe the Giants probably going to end up trading Odell. I think Odell, he's going to force their hands to trade him if he don't get back on the field. But I'm out. Let me know what y'all think.